When my wife brought her lover home for the 5th time, I welded the windows shut and quietly locked the door. From the bedroom I could hear the sounds of passion. I sat in the living room and called Mother. "Mom, something's wrong. Your daughter has locked herself in the bedroom and is threatening to harm herself." I bought some super glue and sealed all the bedroom windows. After sealing the last window, I called my wife, Emma. "Emmy, I have to go on a business trip today. I might be away for a couple of days." She quickly hung up after responding. I looked at the new job offer on my phone and silently replied, "Okay." I checked the time. It was about when she would get off work. After packing a few clothes into a suitcase, I pulled it into the upstairs storage room. From there, I could clearly see the activity downstairs. About half an hour later, the living room door opened. Emma was the first to enter. She peeked in and called out, "Honey, honey," then gestured to someone outside saying, "See, he's gone. Come in." A man walked in, closing the door behind him and pulling Emma into his arms. "So, does that mean I can be with you tonight?" Emma playfully resisted, falling into his embrace. "Oh, stop it." This wasn't the first time I'd seen this scene. Last month, I returned home because I forgot some documents and saw clothes scattered on the sofa, Emma's and a man's. I picked up the clothes and realized they weren't my size. Emma was cheating. I couldn't believe my eyes, but the sounds from the bedroom forced me to accept it. I couldn't bear to hear those sounds anymore. I couldn't believe that Emma, who clung to me every day, would cheat, and in our home no less. I quietly put the clothes back and picked up the scissors from the table, ready to kick open the bedroom door. Inside, the phone rang, and I heard a man's voice pause. It was my boss, Nathan. I couldn't mistake his voice. Nathan was from Hong Kong, and his Mandarin was not very fluent, but I had just received a $1 million order, personally signed by him last week. I now recalled his gaze and tone every time he spoke to me. "Ethan, keep up the good work. You're young and promising. Ethan, with this order, your wife can live well." Every time, my colleagues would look at me with envy. "Ethan, your boss is quite good to you. I've asked for this order several times, but he gave it to you. But you'll have to travel often. Will your wife, who clings to you, agree?" Now thinking back, his gaze wasn't admiration, it was mockery. In the end, I didn't kick open that door. As I left the house with the documents, Manager Nate kept urging me, "Ethan, hurry up. The investors will be here soon. By the way, no one can reach the boss. Do you know where he is?" I glanced at the house door and the contract in my hand. "I don't know. I haven't been able to reach him either." Manager Nate was Emma's cousin. He had brought Emma and me together. Looking at the contract in my hand, he was pleased. "See, I knew I wasn't wrong. You're going places. If this deal goes through, the position of business manager is yours. Emmy will be happy too." I smiled slightly without saying a word. Over the years, to prove myself, I left early and returned late, and most of the money I earned was spent by Emma. But I believed that loving someone meant giving them the best. When I got home, Emma had prepared a table full of dishes waiting for me. She usually never cooked, saying the oil and smoke would damage her skin. It was only this year that she occasionally cooked. This was the 4th time I had tasted her cooking. Seeing me enter, she quickly ran over. "Honey, I made your favorite braised pork today. Go wash your hands." She pushed me to the bathroom and used chopsticks to feed me a piece of meat. "Try it, see if it's good." I chewed the meat while washing my hands. "It's delicious." That night, while she was showering, I tried to unlock her phone. We knew each other's passwords, but never checked each other's phones. So most of the chat records were still there. I scrolled through her messages but found nothing suspicious. I tried searching for "Miss You," and a contact labeled Miss A appeared in the recent chats. It was likely Nathan's alias. I opened it and found explicit messages. "Miss you. Is your husband home? Let's meet at the hotel today. I just took some supplements, guaranteed to satisfy you." That's when I realized they had met at hotels more than 10 times, and he'd been to our home 4 times. Today was the 5th. Emma skillfully put her phone on airplane mode and continued her affair with Nathan. I had initially thought of winning Emma back, but she didn't even consider me, even asking Nathan to send me away for work to make it easier for them to have their affair. Nathan kept tearing at Emma's clothes. Emma, breathing heavily, wrapped one arm around Nathan's neck while skillfully unbuckling his belt with the other. I watched as Nathan hurriedly carried Emma to the bedroom. Emma clung to his neck, kissing him and whispering in his ear, "Did you take the pills today? We can't have a repeat of yesterday." Nathan nodded repeatedly. "Don't worry, I guarantee you'll be satisfied." After finishing her words, Emma tossed her slippers outside. She shyly asked, "How am I supposed to get off the bed without shoes?" Nathan gave her neck a playful bite and said, "I promise you won't be getting out of bed today." I was upstairs watching, feeling a wave of nausea. I covered my mouth, dry heaving a few times but not actually throwing up. Hearing the bedroom door slam shut, I quietly came downstairs, picked up the clothes from the floor, and threw them into the trash bag. Then, while they were caught up in their whirlwind, I locked the bedroom door with a key, threw the key away, and called Mother from the bathroom. "Mom, it's bad. Emmy locked herself in the bedroom and is threatening to harm herself. I can't get the door open." Mother, Sophia, was the backbone of their family. Despite having many siblings, she always had the final say at home. Her only blemish was catching her husband cheating years ago. After forcing the mistress to have an abortion, she kicked her husband out, even though the child wasn't his. Raising Emma alone was tough, but she managed to live a stable life and even had an unmarried boyfriend. Upon hearing that her daughter was in distress, she immediately thought of 1,000 ways to deal with me. In her eyes, when a woman is upset, it's usually the man's fault. So, within half an hour of my call, she arrived at my house with a group of relatives, including aunts and cousins. "Ethan, where's my daughter?" Mother stormed in, and I hurried to greet her, anxiously explaining, "Mom, Emmy and I just had a little argument," and then she suddenly stopped answering my calls. Before I could finish, Mother grabbed a chair and started banging it against the door. With a loud crash, everything went silent inside. Mother kept pounding on the door. "Emmy, don't do anything rash. Whatever it is, tell Mom. I'll stand by you." Hearing no response, Mother called Emma's phone again, but it was still unreachable. Growing more anxious, she continued to hit the door with the chair, but it wouldn't budge. "What kind of door is this? It won't even move after a few hits." I pulled Mother back. "Mom, this door was chosen by you and Emmy. It's supposed to be secure. It's locked from the inside, and even with a key, it won't open. Hitting it won't help. Don't push Emmy too hard." Hearing this, Mother paused. Meanwhile, my cousin wasn't having it. He punched me and said, "Did you do something to hurt Emmy? I know men too well, none of them are any good." I pushed him aside. "Not all men are like you, messing around. If that's not the case, then why would Emmy be upset?" Seeing this, Mother got even more worked up. "I knew it. I won't let my daughter walk the same path I did. Poor girl, with a father who set a bad example and now a husband like this. How is she supposed to live? I'm telling you, Ethan, if anything happens to Emmy, you'll pay for it." I held Mother's arm. "Mom, I didn't do anything." My cousin pushed me aside again, pounding on the bedroom door. "Emmy, don't be afraid. Whatever it is, Cousin's got your back. Just open the door." Still, there was no sound from inside. Aunt couldn't sit still anymore. "I told you, Ethan must have done something wrong. He needs to admit it. Come on, kneel and apologize to Emmy. Maybe she'll come out. Men, it's okay to make mistakes. Just admit it," Aunt said, trying to drag me to the bedroom. I broke free from her grip. "Aunt, I didn't do anything wrong. What should I apologize for? At least let Emmy come out and ask her. Aunt wouldn't listen, kicking my leg to force me to kneel. Just apologize and get her out first. I struggled to get up and shouted towards the bedroom. Emmy, whatever it is, come out and talk. Whoever's at fault should admit it. Just come out, and we'll talk about everything. I pretended to lean against the bedroom door, listening for any movement inside. Aunt leaned in too. Suddenly, there was a thumping sound from inside, accompanied by the heavy sound of glass. Oh no, Emmy's trying to jump out the window. I hear her knocking on the glass. Aunt quickly pulled Mother over to listen. Emmy, don't do anything rash. Mom's here, and I'll stand by you. Ethan, this wretched man, will pay for what he's done. Emmy, Aunt's here too. Don't be afraid, we'll stand by you. And Cousin's here too. I leaned against the door again, listening. It was indeed the sound of glass being hit. All the windows were sealed with superglue by me so they couldn't open. Nathan had nowhere to hide, so he was trying to break the glass to jump onto the balcony. But Emma forgot that the glass was triple layered, tempered, and incredibly strong, the safest glass she had chosen. I pretended to kneel by the door, patting it with my hands. Emmy, I'm sorry, please come out, don't do anything foolish. I can't live without you. Aunt kicked me hard. Why didn't you say that earlier? Tell her what you're sorry for. Uncle started scolding me too. I heard from Mike that you attract girls at work. Did you cheat? Hearing the word cheat, Mother slapped me on the back of my head without a second thought. If you dare cheat, I'll kill you. I slowly stood up, facing Mother. What if Emmy cheated? Emmy would never cheat. But what if? I'm telling you, she wouldn't. I raised her better than that. If she dares, I'll make her kneel and apologize to you. When Brother walked in, he looked at me with confusion. After I explained the situation to him, he pulled me aside. Ethan, I have an important document, but I can't reach the boss. Do you know where he might be? I shook my head. Why don't you ask the boss's wife? Brother smacked his forehead. Right. Then he walked over to Auntie, who was sitting quietly in the corner. Nathan's second wife, Auntie, happened to be Emma's aunt as well. Coincidentally, Emma's mom had invited her over this time, saying that since she had a legal background, she could step in if I ever did something to hurt Emma, and a divorce was on the table. They wanted someone who understood the law on their side. When Auntie saw Brother approaching, she stood up politely. I couldn't reach him either. He might be busy with something. But since you're here, why don't you head to the office and ask Mr. Liu from the tech department to come over? He might be able to get this door open. After hearing this, I stood up and bowed slightly. Thank you, ma'am. Auntie walked over to me. I don't want to meddle in your affairs, but remember this. No matter how capable a man is, he should never betray a woman. Look at your uncle. He's so busy, yet whenever he has free time, he comes home to be with me. Do you know how many young women throw themselves at him? But he always stays strong. A real man must be able to resist temptation. I listened to Auntie's words and smiled, nodding in agreement. Just then, Emma's cousin came running in, panting heavily. I know why my sister is so upset. It's because brother-in-law is seeing someone else. I quickly stepped forward. Lucy, don't make baseless accusations. But Lucy didn't give me a chance to explain. She raised her phone and started showing everyone. Look, these are photos sent to me a few days ago by the guy who fixed the surveillance cameras. Look at the clothes on the sofa. There are both men's and women's. And that woman's outfit. I've never seen my sister wear it, so it can't be hers. It must belong to the woman brother-in-law is seeing. I took the phone. Sure enough, the photos were from our house. A few days ago, I had indeed asked Lucy to find someone to repair the surveillance cameras. Emma had broken them and kept delaying the repairs. While Emma wasn't paying attention, I had taken the cameras down and handed them to Lucy, asking her to find a friend to fix them. My plan was for her to see these things, and sure enough, she fell for it. I held the phone and tried to explain, no, this isn't smack. Mother slapped me hard across the face. Ethan, stop denying it. I tried to defend myself. Mom, it's really not me. If it's not you, then are you saying Emmy is the one cheating? These aren't her clothes. I know every piece of clothing she owns. Look at this black stocking, this skirt. Is she the type to wear these? Ethan, what did you promise when you married her? And now you're treating her like this? Do you think anyone could handle this? Bringing someone into your home, how humiliating is that? Auntie chimed in. Ethan, how could you do such a thing? You work at your uncle's company, but you haven't learned anything from his character. Let me tell you, if you cheated first and the evidence is clear, Emmy has every right to demand a divorce and take everything. Yes, divorce. He should leave with nothing, Mother added. I looked at her. Mom, that's not how the law works. Mother's face turned red with anger. Who cares about the law? This is about morals. Even if it were Emmy who cheated, I'd still make her leave with nothing. I handed the phone back to Lucy. Really, Mom? Is that what you think? Of course, she snapped impatiently. But that's not the case here. You're the one who cheated, so stop dragging Emmy into this. Lucy jumped in. If you won't admit it now, just wait. My friend will send more videos soon. Let's see what you have to say then. I sat on the sofa as everyone speculated about who I might have cheated with and how I should be punished. Mother and Auntie were already discussing how to divide up my assets, completely forgetting that Emma was still in the bedroom, desperately trying to find a way to escape. By now, they must have given up on breaking the window and were likely trying to open the closet door. They needed to find something to cover themselves with, or else when we broke in, they'd be completely exposed. But the closet was locked too. In the bedroom, aside from a blanket, there was nothing left to cover themselves with. It's here! It's here! Lucy shouted as a new video came through. Everyone rushed over. Before heading over, Aunt gave me a glare as if to say, just you wait. I picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip. Before I could put it down, Mother slapped Lucy's phone out of her hand. What is this? A fake? How could this be Emmy? Lucy, did Ethan bribe you? This can't be real. Lucy looked indignant. What are you talking about? This is the footage my friend restored from the cameras. There's no way it's wrong. Then something's off. Look closely. That's your sister. Lucy grabbed the phone back. It is my sister, so that means she's the one cheating. Look at her outfit, it's the same one that was on the sofa earlier. It was true. Emmy was usually so demure and rarely wore anything so bold. A red bodycon dress and black stockings. It was a look even I had rarely seen on her. No wonder Mother was so shocked. The reaction, but that face was unmistakable. After Lucy repeatedly confirmed with Mother, she finally admitted that the woman in the video was indeed Emmy. However, she still insisted there was something wrong with the video. Lucy handed the phone to the only person she thought might be reasonable on the scene, Auntie. Someone she had only met a few times. Auntie, you're educated. Look at this video. Does it look fake to you? And now you're accusing me? Auntie took the phone with a nonchalant expression, but the moment she saw the video, her face changed drastically. Because the man passionately kissing Emma in the video wasn't just anyone. It was her husband, Nathan. Lucy had barely met Auntie, let alone Nathan, so it was normal for her not to recognize him. Mother and Sophia, on the other hand, were a bit too old to see clearly and had been too focused on covering for Emma to notice the man in the video. Lucy noticed Auntie's expression shift and exclaimed loudly, "Look at Auntie, she's stunned. Even she didn't expect my sister to be like this. I'm not lying to you all, this video isn't fake." Mother, realizing something was off, quickly covered Lucy's mouth and snatched the phone back. She took a closer look at the man in the video and, upon recognizing him, abruptly looked up at Auntie. Auntie's face was filled with shock, clearly still processing what she had just seen. Mother slammed the phone down on the couch and shouted, "Rachel, I've told you before, your husband is no good. Didn't I warn you to keep an eye on him? How could you let him mess with my daughter? He's old enough to be her father." Auntie wasn't one to back down. "What are you talking about?" This is your daughter's house. If she didn't invite him in, how would my old Nate even have the chance? Look at how she dresses like she's selling herself. What did you say? Say that again and I'll tear your mouth apart. I'm not wrong. Look at her demeanor. Does she seem like a proper girl from a respectable family? She's just been hiding it well. I didn't see it before. And Nathan? He's old enough to be her dad. Doesn't he have any morals? As she spoke, Mother lunged at Auntie, grabbing her hair. The two women started fighting, rolling around on the floor, and no one could pull them apart. I watched the scene unfold and shouted, "Enough!" They seemed to suddenly realize that the biggest victim here was me. Mother quickly got up and stood by my side. "Ethan, is this what you're upset about? Don't worry. When she comes out, I'll teach her a lesson. Our family doesn't raise ungrateful girls like this. There must be some explanation. When she comes out, I'll ask her. Maybe she was threatened. I promise I'll get to the bottom of this." Auntie wasn't about to let it go. What do you mean, threatened? Who's threatening who here? That's not clear yet. Auntie was known for her high standards. Nearing 50, she had finally landed Nathan, a divorced man, and she wasn't about to let anyone say she'd made a bad choice. Naturally, she kept defending Nathan, trying to save face. I tugged at my wrinkled suit and said, "Mom, I don't know why Emmy would do this. Have I not treated her well? I give her everything she wants. And yet, this is how she repays me?" Mother kept bowing and apologizing. "You're a good kid. Men should be forgiving. She made a mistake, but as long as she knows it was wrong, that's what matters." I looked at Mother and said, "Mom, no. Cheating is a matter of principle. Didn't you say anyone in your family who cheats has to leave with nothing? That was just talk. You and Emmy have been married for 3 years. Can you really let her go? I guarantee this was a one-time thing. If it happens again, I'll make her kneel and apologize to you. And yes, she'll leave with nothing. Mom, I don't know if they're still in contact. I've been busy with work these past few years, and maybe I haven't spent enough time with her. But she could have told me. She didn't have to do this. I know, she was wrong, but I'm sure they're not in contact anymore. If you don't believe me, ask Auntie. Auntie and Uncle have been together these past few days." I looked at Auntie. She kept her head down and said nothing. Sophia walked over and said, "Ethan, men should be magnanimous. Show some backbone. Trust Mom this once. I'm sure it was just that one time. She was tricked by that old man. Forgive her and let her come out." "It's not that I won't let her come out. It's that she won't come out herself. Then just call out to her. Tell her you forgive her, and she'll come out." I looked at Mother, who was now full of hope, a stark contrast to her earlier aggressive demeanor. I wondered how she'd react when she saw the two of them naked. I walked to the bedroom door and shouted, "Emmy, if it really was just that one time, I forgive you. Come out now." Mother and Sophia immediately started praising me. "That's the way to go, Ethan. You're so understanding. Young people make mistakes. It's normal. You have a long life ahead of you." There was no response from inside the room. Auntie seemed to realize something. She pushed Mother aside, grabbed a chair and started smashing it against the door. But the door didn't budge. Just as Auntie was smashing away, Manager Chin walked in with Master Lu. Master Lu was a locksmith with exceptional skills, capable of opening even reinforced lab doors. My bedroom door was nothing for him. As he prepared to unlock the door, Master Lu hesitated and looked at me. I was confused. "What's wrong, Master Lu? Don't worry about the door. I'll cover any damages." Master Lu shook his head. "It's not that. It's just that in our line of work there are too many taboos. This is private property after all. For my own safety, I need some evidence while I unlock it." "We can all vouch for you." "Exactly. We're all witnesses," Sophia and Uncle chimed in. Even though they said that, I had learned my lesson before. Once I helped someone unlock their door, only for them to accuse me of trespassing. I ended up paying thousands of dollars in compensation, so when it came to unlocking a door again, I couldn't help but feel a bit apprehensive. I looked at Mr. Lewis, the locksmith, and said, "How about this? I'll record a video while you work, and I'll send you a copy as evidence, just in case." Mr. Lewis nodded in agreement. I quickly pulled out my phone. It's always better to be cautious. People can be complicated. "Go ahead," I said. "I'll record everything for you." As Mr. Lewis worked on the lock, my mind wandered to what might be happening inside. I imagined Emma in a panic, perhaps trying to cover up something. The room was probably bare with no place to hide. Most likely the two of them were on the bed, the only thing in the room that could provide some cover. Just as I was lost in thought, the door clicked open. Mr. Lewis was the first to step in, but he froze in place, stunned. Mother pushed past him and rushed inside. "Emmy, don't be afraid. Mom's here," she called out. But before she could finish her sentence, she turned around and started shoving the people behind her. "Get out! Everyone, get out!" Her efforts were in vain. The crowd, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, and others, pushed their way into the room. One by one, they all froze, their faces a mix of shock and disbelief. Then, almost in unison, they turned their heads away. When I finally stepped inside, I saw Auntie already hitting Nathan. He was wrapped in a bedsheet, cowering in the corner of the room. Emma was curled up on the floor by the bed, using a pillow to cover herself. In the chaos, Nathan's bedsheet was yanked away. He tried to grab it back but failed, leaving him standing there stark naked. He instinctively used his hands to cover himself, his face red with embarrassment. Auntie slapped him hard across the face. "You've got some nerve. You can't even be bothered to take one pill when I ask you to, but now you're popping them like candy? Shameless." She then turned her fury toward Emma. "And you, do you have any shame, bringing home a man old enough to be your father? A man who needs pills just to be with you? How low can you go?" Sensing the escalating tension, Mr. Lewis quickly retreated. He glanced at my phone, still recording, and said awkwardly, "Ethan, I don't need that video anymore. Just delete it, okay? I'll be on my way." I let out a cold laugh, saved the video, and sent it to both the company group chat and the family group chat. Then I left both groups. Pretending to be furious, I stormed out of the room and sat on the living room couch, holding my head in my hands. "Get on your knees and apologize to Eth," I thought to myself, trying to figure out how to end this mess. Soon, Emma, now draped in an ill-fitting piece of clothing clearly borrowed from someone else, was dragged over by Mother. She trembled as she approached me. "Honey, please believe me. What happened with him was just a fling. I love you. It's always been you. It's just, the window in our room wouldn't open. Otherwise you wouldn't have seen us like that. I never wanted to hurt you like this." I shoved her away. A fling? A fling that ended up in bed? If I hadn't come back, how many days were you planning to keep this up? Emma began to sob softly. "No, I wasn't going to. I would have stopped. I would have cooked for you when you came back. You're more important to me than he is. He's nothing compared to you." I let out another cold laugh and stood up. "Emma, what do you even see in him? He needs pills just to sleep with you. Is it his age? Do you like that he's as old as your father, or is it his flabby body?" At the mention of her father, Emma jumped to her feet. "Ethan, don't you dare talk about him like that." Emma's father had been kicked out of their home when she was 10, and they had lost contact ever since. Before we got together, all of Emma's previous partners were significantly older than her. Back then, I didn't understand why. I thought she just preferred mature men. I looked at Emma, then shifted my gaze to her mother, who stood frozen, silent. "Mother," I said, "let's hear it. You just said that cheaters should leave with nothing. I forgave her once. If she cheats again, I won't forgive her." Mother rushed over. "Eth, you can't blame Emmy entirely for this. Let's not be too harsh." "Mother," I interrupted, "I'm only asking you one thing. Do your words mean anything or not?" Mother avoided answering directly. "Eth, how about this? I'll give you two some money and you can go on a trip together. It'll help you rebuild your relationship. I looked up at her. No need. All I want now is a divorce. Emma threw herself onto me, crying, Honey, I know you're angry. I promise I'll never see him again. Please forgive me. I'll do anything. I pushed her away. We're getting a divorce. Start packing your things. The company and family group chats exploded with messages. By the time Nathan arrived at work, his scandal had already spread throughout the office. The company, already struggling due to poor performance and aggressive competition, lost most of its remaining partners. In today's gossip-driven world, his story went viral, and many existing clients backed out to protect their reputations. The company plunged into a severe financial crisis. Auntie, using her legal expertise, managed to transfer most of their marital assets. Despite Nathan's desperate pleas, she left him. To save the company, he was forced to sell his only property, but it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, I joined a new company. The internet buzz around my story brought unexpected attention to the company, turning it into a viral sensation. Curious onlookers, eager to meet the cheated but undefeated man, even approached us for business collaborations. I suggested leveraging the attention to start live streaming sales, which quickly became a booming success. I gained a modest following as a live stream host, attracting fans who admired my resilience and positivity. Many left encouraging messages. Ethan, stay strong. One betrayal doesn't define your future. Keep going. The right person is out there for you. This is the way to go. Ditch the toxic people and focus on making money. In a recent acquisition deal, at the meeting, the boss acquired Nathan's company at a bottomed-out price. Word had it that he had already declared bankruptcy and was drowning in debt. During overtime, Emma showed up at the office. She hadn't worked for over 6 months due to the negative fallout, and no company wanted to hire someone with a questionable reputation. She walked up to me with a lunchbox in hand. Honey, I made your favorite braised pork. Have a bite, please. If you like it, I can make it for you every day, she said. I pushed the lunchbox aside. Sorry, you're in my way. Also, we're divorced. But I know you still love me, she insisted. No, I don't. How can you say that? Look, you haven't even started dating anyone else, she said with a smirk. I let out a cold laugh, turned around, and walked away. She stood there, throwing the lunchbox to the ground. Ethan, it was just twice with someone else. Do you have to be like this? I even made you food, she shouted. I turned back and glanced at her. You don't get it, do you? Because of you, I don't eat braised pork anymore. So please, don't show up in front of me again. Emma stomped her feet in frustration. I don't believe you've forgotten about me. But as soon as I left, she went to find Nathan. Nathan lied to her, claiming he still had $500,000 in assets. Using borrowed money, he took her out to eat, drink, and have fun. Within a month, Emma was pregnant with his child. When Nathan, a notorious defaulter, was arrested, Emma was in the hospital preparing to give birth. He refused to sign the divorce papers, leaving Emma with a mountain of debt. Upon hearing the news, Emma gave birth in sorrow and anger. Due to excessive bleeding, her uterus had to be removed. Emma's mother took her and the baby back home. While registering the baby's birth, they stumbled upon Nathan's household registration book hidden in a corner. The former name section left Sophia in shock. Nate. She would never forget that name. It was the husband of the woman her ex-husband had cheated with. Years ago, Nate had begged Sophia to let his wife's unborn child live. He promised to take his wife far away, but Sophia had someone force the woman to have an abortion. That was Nate's first child, one he had poured all his love and hopes into. After Sophia divorced her husband, Nate also divorced his wife. Over the years, he had worked tirelessly in the business world, but could never forget the child he lost. When he remarried Rachel and crossed paths with Sophia again, he devised a plan for revenge. His original intention was to trick Emma into having his child as a way to get back at Sophia. But he hadn't anticipated what he would find at home, which completely disrupted his plans. Still, traps are always set for the greedy. Just as he was about to give up and let things take their course, Emma came to him again, willingly offering herself, just to pry information about his remaining assets. He forged bank statements and property certificates, making Emma believe he could make a comeback. She willingly got pregnant with his child. But in reality, he was drowning in debt, and even the house he lived in was rented. When Sophia learned the truth, she broke down in tears, holding the baby in her arms. She couldn't help but think of the child she had forced to be aborted 20 years ago. The baby had been just as delicate. The more she thought about it, the more terrified she became, as if that child had come back to haunt her. In a fit of madness, she threw the baby onto the bed and ran out. Sophia lost her mind. On the third day of her stay in the psychiatric hospital, I went to see her. She pointed at me and screamed, "Grace!" Indeed, the insane are often the most lucid. Grace was the name of the mistress she had forced to have an abortion all those years ago. Grace was also my adoptive mother. She passed away when I was 18. She had pulled me out of the mud and given me the best love she could. Looking at the deranged Sophia, I said, "You never thought someone would find out about what you did back then, did you?" Sophia clutched her head, trembling. "I don't know. It wasn't me. It wasn't me." "You begged your best friend, Grace, to seduce your husband so you could be with your lover. Your goal was to make him leave with nothing. But afterward, you denied everything. To force him out, you turned the fake act into a real one, causing my mom to lose her child. You drove her and her husband to divorce. You don't know this, but after your husband left, you went back and beat her, leaving her disfigured and scorned for life. If she hadn't found me when she tried to end her life, she probably would have died the year she left." Sophia held her head, muttering, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. She was too beautiful. Every man would like her. She had to be ruined so no one would want her. It wasn't me. My mom told me to live well and see what would become of you all. I really wanted to live a good life with Emma. But she, just like you, couldn't stay content. My mom was right. Evil people always get what they deserve." "Ah! Don't hit me! Don't hit me!" Sophia screamed, running to a corner. I watched her through the wire mesh as she hid Nathan's household registration book she had taken from home. As for Emma, she didn't deserve to know the truth. The only person she should hate was herself. "Room 401, Sophia. Come take your medication. Nurse, you're the mistress. You're the mistress. I'll kill you. I'll kill you." What's wrong with her? Increase her dosage tomorrow.